The Elephant in the Boardroom, Part 2. How many times you hit yourself on the head or you get hit on the head before you realise it's pain, it causes pain and no joy? How many times will corporate boards, use woke as a means for promotion of something, like beer for instance, and find that having done no research whatsoever into the market of beer, not understanding who drinks beer, the demography of beer drinkers is mostly men. But we did not aim the advertising at men. We aimed the advertising at a very small minority group, which is transgender males or transgender females, if you like. I'm not quite sure what is right, whether transgender males or transgender females. I don't really care about it. The point is, they let the company down, and they let basically the population down who was drinking, who were loyal to Budweiser. People are loyal to their beers. You don't really have to advertise it because they pass on, they hand it to the mates when they come round for a drink. You have a Budweiser, it becomes a token of good cheer between people, but no longer anymore. Every time people drink Budweiser now, they're reminded of something that makes people not happy. But why has this come about? Why is it that a small minority of people, which is all the woke guys, a minority of people, it's not a majority of people, are affecting the lives of so many? Because simply, as it's being promoted into the boardroom, and the way to get promoted these days, obviously in boardrooms, is to go along with woke agenda. Then to promote you up, and you're in a position then as a vice president, having no marketing experience whatsoever, obviously, but because no one can say no, because wokeism on the left in itself does not allow dissent of any kind. If someone says something that's wokish, we'll have to go along and use a transgender female for our advertising. No one can say, well, I don't think we should just use an ordinary bloke having a beer with his mates around a barbecue, so he can drive home afterwards or something like that, showing the happy ending that you get with drinking a Budweiser light, rather than the unhappy ending to all those people who were selling Budweiser and now find the shops where people must be buying alternative beers. America does make great beers. I spent a week or so in America a few years ago. I was surprised at the quality of the beers I found in the bars in New York. Absolutely beautiful. Really enjoyed myself drinking. And I tried Budweiser once when it came in the shops in Australia, and that was it once. So it's not a great loss to lose something that's drank through habit. There's certain beers in Australia that are rank, but people drink them by habit. I'm not going to name them because each to their own. But why is it to see the people in woke? It weakens people's morale. It weakens people's morale, so people can't say, no, I don't want to think we should do that. Excuse me, I don't want to say you're wrong here, but maybe you've not done enough research into marketing our product. And it will discuss it intellectually, make it an impartial discussion, because when you get into a board of a corporate board, your first responsibility is to improve the profits for the company. That's corporate law almost. And if you don't improve the corporate profits, you can sort of get yourself into trouble. Why did they pull the rug from under the profits made out of Budweiser so abruptly and so quickly? It didn't go open. It happened overnight. An avalanche of resent against Budweiser against the company, not the beer itself, but against the company for trying to promote something that really is pushing something in the face where people are not ready for. They're simply proven by now. People are not ready for this. The masses, which more marketing should be towards the masses, especially when it's beer. The more beer people drink, the better, the more profit. And when they're not doing that, when they're not marketing the masses, but marketing to a small minority, then you're not doing the company any service, and you're not doing those people, the shareholders, any favours, and you're not doing the people who distribute and make profit out of the sales of Budweiser in the retail market. So you can see, because they can't say no, and we've seen an incident just recently, where when it comes to women's sports, you can put on a dress. You got something against women, You become a woman, or say you're a woman. Suddenly I can say, any man can now say, oh, I'm a woman, and take over in competing women's sports. And no one can say anything about it without getting, and women can't even say anything about it. Women have had their rights of free speech trodden on by males in dresses, male or females with testicles, if you like. And it seems and the people in San Francisco who should be standing up for women and protecting women from the bullying of women or men. And it shows that the females with testicles do not respect women. But so why are they pretending to be women when they don't respect women's rights? What is a woman's rights? Well, a woman's right is protected. She has freedom of speech should be protected. You cannot become a woman and then attack the women, actual women, for being what they are. It's a contradiction in logic. It doesn't make sense. And then when you get instead of the people being reprimanded for holding women in hostage, using physical force against them, they're ignored simply because the people in charge who promoted themselves up the woke ladder, this woke ladder, the more woke you are, the higher you go, can no longer say no to anything woke. It's a trap. It's actually a psychological trap to capture people into a sort of paradigm of wokeness. And it promotes itself up to the boardrooms, and now it is the elephant in the boardroom amongst many companies. And one wonders how long it's going to take to learn the now famous saying, "Go woke, go broke." Because if you can't learn, if companies aren't learning it by now, then either there's an agenda to purposely send big companies broke. Purposely, if you don't learn it by now, if there's one more company uses woke as a way to promote its products and it backfires, you'd have to say, is this done on purpose? Because if you know it's going to happen, if you can predict it's going to happen, because there's a pattern already, well observed pattern of behavior or pattern of results of this poor marketing campaign using wokes, then you're then responsible for sending a company broke. If you can't admit it, it's a failed means. It's not just fun to send a company broke. Maybe they thought that having a transgender male is a fun thing to do, but it turns out it offends people, whether we like it or not. It doesn't even mean they're not accepted. It's just that not everyone's into it. And there's enough people, a majority of people who the book should be marketed to, aren't woke. And it's a very interesting lesson. So how long will it go on before companies realise they can't use woke to promote whatever they're selling? It backfires every time. You think they would learn by now? Or is it done on purpose to send companies broke? Is there some pernicious reason why this is so? Because it's very suspicious when you've got people promoted into corporations, then the same people who are promoted are not being promoted, obviously, by the business acumen. They're being promoted because they sound the most woke. And it's a weakness. And boards, no company survives in the jungle, in the dog-eat-dog world of business, where has the weakest characters in the top of its company. Go woke, go broke, goodbye. Try anyway. Think of the brighter side. There are lots of really good beers in America, lots of really good boutique beers. That's a fact of fabulous beers. Please send me a good selection of them. But now's your chance to try another beers other than Budweiser. You can try and try more. Mickey's Malt Liqueur, for instance, is a wonderful beer. And there's quite some of the boutique beers I had in New York bars were wonderful beers. So don't panic. There's plenty of good beers in America without having to worry about drinking Budweiser.